Hi and welcome back to the channel. Now in the upcoming video I'm going to be taking a slightly different perspective view of this. Now this is the amplifier, the fosiaudio ZA3 or ZA3 if you prefer. Now I'm certainly not going to pretend I'm an audiophile. In fact, I'm very far from it. In fact, you're probably more likely to find me in the garage building individual speakers like these. But hey ho, without some kind of audio equipment, even my favourite builds would fall silent. So for the purposes of this video, fosiaudio have kindly sent me the ZA3 amplifier to review. They've also sent me the ZD3, which is the preamp DAC. Now I will be taking a look at that in another video, so if you don't want to miss that one, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. However, let's now take a look at the fosiaudio ZA3. Style-wise, I'm sure it's a little bit Marmite for some of you. However, I personally love the black against the contrasting orange and find the whole thing quite contemporary. And even ventilation for the sides gets a matching orange grille. Build quality also seems to be excellent, with the front and back bookended by a one-piece aluminium shell. Now on the front of the unit is a very simple push to go on and off orange dial, which is also your volume knob. And there's two switches, one to switch between stereo and mono, and also another to switch between your RCA and your XLR inputs on the rear. Now on the back you have your XLR in connectors. A little bit more on those later. Your traditional RCA in adapters, a subwoofer out to go to your active subwoofer, and then you have your left and right speaker terminals that will of course accept banana plugs. And I'm also pleased to say that fosiaudio, unlike some of the other competitors, does supply a full 48 volt power pack with the ZA3. And finally you have a 12 volt trigger in switch. Now I've spent a fair amount of time listening to stream music via an Auralic S10 Plus over the ZA3. Now this is on speakers I've built, which are 4-inch, 3-inch and a 5.5-inch Mark audio. And my initial thoughts were, well, it really could do with a remote control. It could really do with a bass and treble adjustment. You know, this is one of their higher end amplifiers. And then it suddenly dawned on me, no, fosiaudio don't want you to have this as a one-for-all amplifier. They want you to have this and then expand their range. Now, hear me out. Now, I actually think that fosiaudio have been very clever with the introduction of the ZA3. Now what they've done, they've said, look, here you are, have a well-built amplifier. It produces 300 watts and we're going to give you the 48 volt power supply, so it will produce those. You're going to be able to open it up. You're going to be able to change the op amps. You're going to be able to connect a subwoofer. You're going to have XLR inputs. And if you want to expand and have more power, you can switch to mono mode. You can buy a new ZA3 and power even bigger speakers. And that's not all. You can then buy the ZD3 preamp and DAC. And with that you've got all the connectivity to connect it to the ZA3. And it really does then start to become a really enticing package. Now I don't want to give too much away about the ZD3 as I will be reviewing it, as I have said previously. But I will give you a little spoiler. And that spoiler is that if you connect the ZA3 to the ZD3, especially via the XLR cables, then this combination takes on a whole new sound level. So what's my conclusion to the ZA3? Well, it certainly is a really well-made piece of equipment. It's big enough that even with all the connectors in on the back, it sits nice and flush on the surface, unlike my BT20, which seems to go into takeoff mode with just a speaker attachments. 300 watts of power is going to be plenty for most of you. Most of you would probably only want to use it in stereo mode. The connectivity is really good. But the question comes down to, would you buy the ZA3 if it was going to be your only piece of audio equipment? And by audio equipment, I obviously mean amplifier. And to be honest, I'd probably say no. I think if this was going to be your only amplifier, you didn't want to expand anything, then I think you'd have to look at the alternatives. You'd probably want to go and have a look at something with maybe a remote control, maybe a bass and treble. Something like the BT20A Pro, or something like the Duke Audio ST01 Pro. However, and bear in mind that the DA3 isn't exactly cheap, it's not expensive either, and you plan in the future to build on this, then I think the ZA3 is an incredible starting point. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching the video. Now, if it's been useful, please let me know in the comments below. And also, if you've got experiences of the ZA3 that you'd like to share, again, let me know. I'd like to invite you, if you wanted to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be kept up to date with any reviews, or if you want to check out any of my speaker builds. And finally, I'd like to say if you want to find out more about fosiaudio, I have, of course, put the links in the description below. It's got good power levels. It's got good power levels? No. It's big enough that even with all the connectors in, it doesn't. Thank you if you haven't watched this video. It's very personal to me. What the f? Make any comments you would, whether you've had experiences of the ZA3 or